What is up, everyone? What is up? My desk is still a mess from the flood because I'm not putting anything on the floor anymore. I've got to get some more shelves and shit. Guess who's... I think you mean Little SDR just arrived today. Guess it'd be you? What's up, Deadly One? How's it going? Smash... Hashdab. How's it going? Ray Rays? Omniscia, how's it going? How's everybody doing? I just pulled up the chat, so if you chimed in a little earlier, sorry. Yeah, so been recovering from the flood steadily. Still have to replace a bunch of hardware. Friends have said that they're going to be sending me various different things of hardware over the coming weeks, so we'll see. That's really the key factor in, is it going to take me a few months or just a few weeks to get fully back on my feet? Because right now, I don't have any of my usual spare computers for me to do my testing and tinkering with a lot of the software I'm building. I have 2 new projects I announced, if you were in the Discord. They're both ham radio related. One of them is, I'm calling it Hammunition and Hammunition Hill. So Hammunition is a big,
Quevum is now chilling in the lab.
Thank you for the follow. Big overarching project to fill gaps from a few different things that I've seen in radio for a while in Linux, which is, yeah, you have Skywave Linux, yeah, you've got Dragon OS, which is better for like SDRs and stuff, and then you have Andy's Ham Radio Linux, which I've been using for a while, and 7.3 Linux, and these are 4 different projects that are all geared to, solve the issue of getting your laptop set up for your radios and stuff, but the issue becomes, sorry, I lost my train of thought. There was a pop-up on the stupid computer. But the issue becomes, some are not covering everything. Some have really archaic software choices. Some are just doing whatever. But anyway, the point being, I wanted something that I could take Parrot OS, put that onto a Panasonic Toughbook for... Did OBS just disconnect? Yep. That's fun. Did the Twitch just die? God damn it. No, it's still going. That's weird. I don't know. Look, man, I just work here. Wait, no, it did die. It did die. I have no idea what is happening to the Twitch stream. Twitch is just being derpy, I guess, because TikTok was working fine, and the YouTube and the Kick were working fine. Twitch went derp. Okay, so it says it's reconnected. Well, it's not a tech stream without, tech issues, I guess. Haha. YouTube was behind TikTok. YouTube is always behind TikTok. So the higher quality streams have a little bit more of a buffer, just for the reason of they can catch up and there's little hiccups here and there, so it can catch for it. TikTok, I hate to put it this way, TikTok is kind of the second-class citizen of my stream. I don't know how else to put it for you. But yeah, okay, yeah, looks like we're still good there. Twitch was just being derpy. YouTube and TikTok work, so probably not internet. Also, I'm in the YouTube comment too. Yeah. You just commented on a separate video and didn't realize you were live. Yeah. Back from ads. Twitch is functional. Well, Twitch actually dropped for a second. I got the OBS alert. Anyway. 80 Clipboy pre-orders. Oh, yeah. So if you want to get this, and it used to be that you had to go to DEF CON and buy it and meet the guy at DEF CON, they're doing a second run of the Clipboy. So you too can have a Fallout-themed hacker device that completely goes towards a great cause of funding a 16-year-old's college fund. I'm just plugging it in because the battery's dead on this. But yeah, you get a little Clipboy that'll have an ESP32 that can do deauth and a whole bunch of detections, and you can even use it for deauth and other attacks and all that. But yeah, they need to get a minimum of 150 pre-orders. That's not the limit on what they're able to sell. That's the minimum amount they need to make it happen for the cost to be justified, because, you know, you have to buy in bulk and everything, and there are some custom PCBs, print runs, things like that have to be considered. So they have, about 2 weeks to get to 150. From my understanding, they have right now 80, and you can get them at brycebadges.com. BRYCEBADGES.com. That's Bravo, Romeo, Yankee, Charlie, Echo, Bravo, Alpha, Delta, Golf, Echo, Sierra.com. So, yeah, definitely go support. It's definitely one of my most favorite badges. Well, it probably is, I would have to say, my most favorite badge, period. If we're taking DEF CON official badges out of the running, because those are special for their own reason. But yeah, definitely recommend this. Totally happy to support this kid. Met him, brilliant. I'd be very proud as a parent to know that I had a 16-year-old make something like this. But yeah, and it works really well. So definitely go and order it. It's about $120, $135, so you might say, well, that's a little bit expensive, but remember, it's going towards a good cause, and most of this equipment that you're buying anyway is going to be ranging anywhere from $60+ on up, give or take. What OS does it run? It runs Clippy OS. This is his own thing. Like, there's a GitHub for it. He coded this. It's running on an ESP32. I forget which exact ESP32, but it is his own thing that he coded. And it's Mark II, so it comes with updated features. The Mark II, I think, is mostly about that it's the second run, and they are going to be, just giving some new color options. Whereas the Clipboy, these ones all had one color option. But the files are open source, so you can print whatever you want. I'm going to reprint this probably in PETG, maybe like a solid green PETG or something. Yeah, I got mine in red. Yeah, well, let's get the guy to 150 orders, so that way we can guarantee everyone gets in round 2. And I'm going to be interested to see what, if anything, he comes up with for next year. Because he's planning, I think, to come back next year. It's going to be interesting to see what he comes up with. How's your basement doing? I mean, it's clean. It's mostly just fixing all the hardware. Fixing hardware, replacing hardware, mostly replacing hardware. So I am waiting on some friends to send me some second-hand hardware to at least replenish the computers that I need for a lot of my own testing and development work that I do in my Homelab for my stuff, like some of the stuff I'm building right now, which I'll show you in a second. I haven't fully tested it. I've just been kind of building it with the assistance of Claude. But I've been giving it the guidance and looking at the code and stuff that it's been building. I'm just not good with visuals. Did the mini laptop die in the flood? No. That was within inches of being lost, though, but it's fine. But yeah, so I came out with 2 projects that I was saying before Twitch rudely cut me off. They are basically related to ham radio. So, one second. For some reason, Florp does not let me do new windows by dragging out a tab anymore. I don't know what's up with Florp lately. Getting annoyed enough that I might switch back to Firefox, which tells you something. Anyway, let me go to my GitHub and open these up. So these are 2 new repositories. Today I couldn't wake up, like I was out. Oh yeah, I've had those days. Oh yeah, and then I've also been working on updating my other project, Typo Sniper, finally. So as you can see, there's some commits there I have to fully test, including... I already merged it in. But I started doing the basis for a Terraform for ECS Fargate and EKS, so I'm eventually going to have to justify spinning up an AWS Cloud Lab, getting it packaged the way it needs to be, and where was the very important thing that I did? Yeah, I added some machine learning features into it finally, so I have to fully test that, run it through 30 different instances of different devices to get a good sample size and then go from there. But yeah, so been working on that. That was one of my bigger cybersecurity projects that a few companies actually said they're using this. And then we've got Ammunition, which is a big project. It's in alpha. It's nowhere near as installable. I still have a lot of work to go. In fact, I think... hold on. That's not the right window. That's the InfoSec one. No, that's the C5 war driver. I can close that, actually, because I have to wait for the part to come in to fix that. Another casualty of the flood. Anyway. Problem with black on black screens is you can't see the edge sometimes. Okay. So this is Ammunition over here. So the idea is that this is going to be an installer for a shit ton of ham radio software, with the idea being that it can bolt on to Parrot OS or other Debian type Linuxes and get it set up. Yeah, so this is going to be probably a few weeks in the making. I've at least put the hardware identifiers in for the devices I have, like the Cat Sniffer, Free Will Eye, Proxmark, Flipper Zero, some Mesh Tastics, and the a few other things. But the more people that are like, hey, I use this hardware to do that, and then I can possibly build it in and test it out, the better, because there's a huge gap in different radio softwares, and I actually talk about it in the Why Ammunition document over here. So basically, there are 4 different projects. There's Andy's Ham Radio, which I've used for years. There's 7.3 Linux, which I looked at, but the issue that they had was technically they don't have a license affixed to it, which makes it really weird, because by default, if you don't have a license in a GitHub repo, it's all rights reserved, which means they could honestly decide, hey, we're not going to keep it open and I'm just going to make everything proprietary. So even though that's Not saying they will do that. I'm saying that is the possibility with the code, and then you kind of have nothing. But there's also Dragon OS, which is really good for SDR, but not so much regular ham radio. And then there's Skywave Linux, which is a Debian that's built with more stuff. Anyway, I'm building a radio suite that's gonna cover all those different things, get my SDRs and my ham radio, have some modern stuff, and then get rid of some of the older junk, keeping track of all the little tweaks and fixes you need for kernels and everything. Why Debian and not Arch? Because Debian's stable. And if you're wanting to do ham radio work out of everything, you want stability. You do not want an update to suddenly be incompatible with an ancient library that you use for your radio software. Ham radio software literally is using some of the oldest software out there still. And that's part of the problem, and why I'm working on Hamunition, so that way we can get all that resolved. So I can get it the way that I want it on a Parrot OS laptop, and rather than just having a radio and security laptop, I have a radio and security laptop. So, yeah, there's a bunch of things I've had to do into this, and honestly, if it wasn't for tools like Claude, there's no way I would be able to take on this work. It's running right now, and I've honestly been going back and forth with Claude, and I'm on the Claude Pro Max 20X plan now. Yep, I was hitting those limits hard. What's my ethnicity? Kind of a weird question to ask. I'm Moroccan. Okay, so we got that going there. So that's Hamunition. Now there's another project as well, which I started on my other laptop upstairs, so the project's not here. Hold on. Let's open up the other browser. Okay. Yeah, I already had it over here. So this is Hamunition Hill. So Hamunition Hill is basically a dashboard for your ham radio needs. The idea is this runs locally on your computer. Now, I know there's other projects. It definitely was inspired by Hamdash. Hamdash.com, good product, not hating on it. But my issue is to hate on them just a little bit, even though I said not hating. They're not open sourced. So there's nothing preventing them, again, from one day just saying, hey, we're going to make everything proprietary, you're going to have to pay for it, and you're just kind of ass out, whatever. Or, you know, something happens to the maintainer of it, and then whatever. You know, there's a lot of things. But anyway, so I'm working on this. Again, this is nowhere near full production. This is alpha. So quite a few of the features work. This is much more simple, Hamunition Hill, than Hamunition, because Hamunition Hill is literally just basically grabbing resources from like NOAA and just a bunch of different, you know, places to do calculations and everything. And then it can even do your band plan lookups and everything. I have to lay this out a little bit more. This was basically, I just need to get the features in, and then I can get into the design and laying it out and making it look pretty. Like, I'm even working on, like, CW, training tools. I'm working on the band plan so that you can flip through and know what you can use for your class. You know, shack tools to know different things, like your antenna. So if you're doing an antenna frequency, just little things to help people very quickly have an at-a-glance. So especially if you're in the field, a lot of this stuff will work even without internet, and then at least cache the most recent data. So it can actually pull the, I'm trying to see how to pull the GPS through the browser, so that way it can pull the GPS if you have a GPS card installed. There's a way to expose that. That way it's actually pulling off of your GPS and then signing to the call book. So you're going to have a log book and a bunch of other stuff. Like, basically, there is a lot of tools that I found. I was like, this kind of works, but I'm like, I need something that can do everything. But this is not meant to be, like, fully self-hosted, like you run this in a cloud. This is meant to be, like, locally hosted. So, at most, you're going to run this on your local machine and then access it locally on your machine, or you're going to run it on your local network, and then at most, you're going to remote into it through a VPN or Zero Trust network access. So I've actually created a tiering system. There's 3 tiers, 0, 1, and 2. Tier 0 is it runs locally on the computer. It never, is the computer doesn't need to gather data from outside. And then tier 1 is it's going to have to go outside and start talking to some data, but it's just read only. It's just pulling in data. Tier 2, eventually, maybe it's going to need an active connection for that feature to work. What are we talking about? I'm talking about the software I made for ham radio that's still in testing right now. It's kind of functional, but there's a lot that I have to do feature-wise before it's where I want it to be. As you can see from here, like I still have to work on the VOA cap, the call sign query endpoint, the metrics for the InfluxDB push, and then a Docker image, and to pip install and everything like that. And then, of course, make it look prettier than it currently is, because right now it's been just focused on feature set. This is Ammunition Hill. And Claude's been taking care of a crap ton of that stuff. And speaking of which, I've been doing some fun things. So I moved over all of my little alerts and reporting, and it does it way better in Claude. So, like, I have this bans and breaches. So twice a day, it'll give me an alert on, hey, this is how the ham radio's looking out there. These are some exploited in the wild things do, and these are the due dates, that you should basically have them resolved by. And of course, just kind of a reading of the, things. Parks on the air, spots. So you can see, like, there's a couple of Ohio activations right now. I can see in my stack which vulnerabilities may be relevant right now to the systems in there. And then, of course, you have the security desk, so I can, pull up and see what the highlights of the news are. And this is from Hacker News. Of course, you've got other news over here. So I've been working on that. And then I actually worked on this little guy right before stream. This summarizes a lot of the highlights going up. And I have 4 different ones. One for Sunday, Monday, and Wednesday for the stream nights. And then when I have an off night like this, I have a manual one I can call upon. So we can actually, get the full rundown over here. And we can actually see, like, a little full newspaper over here. So this is what I've been doing with it. So, like, for a lot of people that are out there, like, oh, I just have the Claude, what is it, the Pro plan? I'm on the Pro Max 20X plan. I'm burning through tokens. Like, there was somebody in the chat that was, like, in Discord that was like, I'm worried because my prompt is using 26,000 tokens. And I'm like, buddy, I just ran the compact command on my Claude project and freed up 530,000. So, yeah. This has been useful for me to stay on top of. So it's like, we've got a new Citrix vulnerability over here, because Citrix sucks. Not really, they kind of live on the name. So, yeah, Citrix vulnerability. A lot of old enterprises are still using it. Watchtowers, heap exploitation, write-up, reads well, Cold Bishop Fox published a non-destructive link Oracle detection tool that you can run live. CISA kev'd it. Okay, so they at least do have a tool that you can check to see if you're vulnerable, but if you're in an enterprise, guarantee that that vulnerability is going to stay up for a month or two. Yeah. So, this has been pretty useful to be using Claude for, amongst other things, and just getting a bunch of my projects done. And then I even set up a sync tool for Claude so it can sync my memories across different computers. And, yeah. I've also even set up the rules so that even when I'm on my work computer using Claude, it won't ever commit, work-related stuff. Chief, can I get some debugging home? My Linux laptop IP route won't show system control, restart network manager, and still nothing. Thoughts? Do you even have network manager installed? Because not all Linux laptops use network manager. There's actually more network managers than network manager. I know, that's a little confusing to hear, but it's the truth. Why Claude doesn't have token limits? Because Claude works a lot better than a lot of the other stuff out there. I have ChatGPT too, don't get me wrong. ChatGPT, along with DALL-E, their image generation thing, works a little bit better on some design stuff and some ideas. So, like, what I'll do is I'll at least craft the idea initially around ChatGPT, you know, because it's better at verbiage and communication, I'm noticing, than Claude, in terms of, like, actual effective communication. And keeping my voice rather than just sounding like I'm a robot written by AI. Like, I got ChatGPT cursing at me very often. But anyway, I use Quen and DeepSeek user, found ChatGPT and Gemini suck. Oh, I have Quen too. I have Quen and DeepSeek on my local machine, but I don't use DeepSeek on their own stuff, and Quen on, outside of, what is it, Hugging Face and running it on your own. Well, Hugging Face is kind of expensive. But yeah, ChatGPT, at least for language stuff, seems to work better than Claude, and I'll have them go back and forth sometimes. But I have the ChatGPT Pro plan, but I have the Claude Pro Max 20X plan, and Claude by far is better with code out of the ones I've seen, at least tying into all the things that I needed to tie into. Use Gemini a lot, but mostly research with short resources. I like the links better. Gemini has its strength for other things. But this is the thing, is there's no LLM that's good at everything. They're better at some things and worse at others. That's just the way it is. Claude, even when I was using GitHub Copilot, which I am using GitHub Copilot Pro Plus, which I'm probably going to be knocking down to just GitHub Copilot Pro, because I have almost no use for GitHub Copilot now that I moved over to Claude Code. Claude Code is a lot better too for my uses, because I have it tied to my GitHub repos, and while I'm out and about, I can say, hey, I need to look at this repo for this vulnerability to, you know, check this. Are we affected by it? Or I can tell it, you know, hey, I have this thought for a feature. Can you stage it and mock it, and we'll test it when I'm back home? And I can do that from my phone. I literally will set up tasks before I go to bed, because you have that 5-hour window, and set the long coding sessions to do that. Oh, I still use VS Code. Like, I'm using Claude Code in VS Code. Like, if we look right now, it went through the fork I had. The engine landed while it was away. I reviewed it against the running container. So it, like, ran my stuff in containers, because right now, I don't have physical computers, so I found a workaround using Podman, at least as a gap measure. Already written in D028. Okay. Cool. I gave it a list of tasks to go through. So it has the decisions over here. So I go through an entire planning stage with these projects. And that's why when people are like, oh, Chief, you're just vibe coding. I'm like, there's no vibe that goes with this. This literally, like, look at all these markdown files that we've had to create. And some of these were heavily done by me. Just at least to start. And it's like, we need to look into that and it would build upon that. Like, so look at all these reference materials. We've had to, you know, craft and go, hey, there's these projects out here that do this. I don't know about this license over here. Research the issue over there. Can we bring this code in? Because I don't want really any issues going on. And then there's even like parity policy, you know, to get it in parity with other projects that I'm looking at. But then I want to be able to supersede the capabilities of these different ones. So, yeah. There's a lot that goes into, you know, using an AI agent properly to do your coding, and it's not as simple as just give it a vague prompt. You have to plan for it, you have to research and all this. Yeah. What's up, Pat? Oh, did you get the warm invite I sent? So anyway, oh yeah, and then I'm in the Matrix server for that. Call Center Village has been spinning up a few things, so... Oh yeah, we'll be at GurCon, by the way. So, if you're in Michigan for GurCon, come say hi. I won't bite. If anything, that's great, you got the invite. I hope we can do that, because that's a local thing that we can really help out, and... Yeah, that's the one I spoke at last year. That could have been better. Not the speech, the conference. I think we can improve that. But anyway, yeah, we'll be at GurCon. So GurCon is the next cybersecurity conference on the agenda. It's called GurCon because it's in Grand Rapids, Michigan. GurCon. Get it? But there's GRR. It's in Michigan. This will be my second time. So if you do run into me there, as long as I'm not like going to a talk or anything, it is a little bit more chill than DEF CON. So it's one of those you can actually hang out and talk kind of, you know, conferences like B-sides. So don't feel like, you know, you're going to be pressured like, oh, I'm not going to see it. Like, dude, it's a much smaller venue. And then you should go to Octane. Not unless Okta wants to spend the money to send me. I don't go to vendor conferences unless they pay for it. I'm not a cheap date. Gonna have to pay for me to sell my soul. What city? GurCon is in Grand Rapids, Michigan, I think it is. Are there tickets still available? It's kind of close, so it's kind of hard to say. GurCon. Let's see. But, you know, they got a lot of the sponsors there. Get tickets. Tickets have sold out. Yep. I already had my ticket. So when these cybersecurity conferences get announced, I get alerted. I set up alerts, and then I buy the ticket. Because it's better to buy the ticket early on and then be like, okay, it's done. Worst case scenario, I end up not being able to go to the conference. I'll hand the badge off to a friend. Because the one after that is B-sides local to me. And then after that, I want to say there might be Queen City Conference. I'm not sure if I'll be doing that one. I have to figure that one out. You have no active connection on your laptop. Your NMCLI shows only loopback. Yeah, that's kind of hard to say. That might actually be a hardware thing, possibly. But yeah, GurCon is really great. I have a good time there. It's a lot more chill and laid back than DEF CON. But that's partly why I love it. Like, don't get me wrong, I love DEF CON. I love it. I do plan to go back next year. But DEF CON is... It's like going to a music festival. There's so much going on, you're not going to be able to see everything. Like, if you've ever been to, like, Rock on the Range, Sonic Temple, any of those music festivals where there's multiple stages, there's often times you're going to have to pick and choose where you're going to want to go. And the advice I give people is always go with the flow and don't stick to a schedule, because, like, you may have, like, the perfect, you know, thing going on right now, and you can go, the other one may have not been as good, but whatever. If you're enjoying it. Anyway, the thing I'm trying to get at with DEF CON is there's so much going on that it's hard to really have, like, really great conversations with a lot of people. Now, I managed to have a good group of friends that every year I end up having, you know, kind of a group of friends and a core group that I hang around. And then, like, you have other friends that they're doing their own thing and cycle in and out of the group throughout the entire con. And we just chill out and everything. But DEF CON, when you meet a lot of people, you honestly maybe at most have the time during the line that you're hanging out with them. Very rarely are you going to get the opportunity where they're going to be like, hey, yeah, we'll just sit down and chill and chat, unless you happen to be doing the same thing. But GurCon and B-Sides and all that, you genuinely get to like lay back and just chill out and have a beer. Like GurCon's where I got this tattoo. So the story behind this is GurCon, they had free beer, okay? And I like stouts. So free beer, well, it's free. So I had 5 stouts within, I forget how long it was. One of the vendor booths they had at GurCon last year was a tattoo artist. You literally just signed up, put your phone number in there for you to them to text you, and then if you showed up within 15 minutes of them notifying you, you then could, you know, pick out your tattoo and get it done. So 5 beers in, I decided that was a great idea. And once I finished the basement cleanup and catching up on some bills as a result of the power outage and the cleanup and replacing a bunch of shit, I want to get this colored in. I'm going to get that done during the winter, so that way it's pool ready. Chief can be bought. You give him a Snicker and his shin. I am much more of an expensive than that. I at least require a bottle of Kamchatka vodka. If you don't know what that is the absolute bottom barrel vodka. Is that your only tattoo? No, I got another one. But that's the only one that's, like, completely visible most of the time. There's another one up here I got when I was 17. And then just got the name of somebody that was close, basically, put on there. That's about it. That passed away. It is what it is. Or Malort. Yeah, Malort. That's right. Give me Malort. I will sell my soul. But then again, I am the son of a ginger, so there's a question on if I really had a soul to begin with, or if I'm just like a daywalker, like how that works. After you just said that, I want some Mexican rice milk now. Rice milk. Like, what do you mean? Like horchata? Or am I thinking of something different? Or is rice milk different? Because, like, I'm thinking of horchata. I love horchata. Oh, Jay would be loving this. I'm now working through DMR being set on there. Oh, so it is horchata. Okay. Best vodka I can offer is Taka. What's Taka? Alright. I need to pull... And then in 42 hours, the Infocon drive will be done. So right now, I'm doing a true-up of the drive that I got from DEF CON 30 against the drive that they messed up copying before I empty that drive to be set up for one of the hashes I plan to have. But the good news is, even if you don't go to DEF CON, this script, theoretically, should be able to help you recreate an entire Infocon archive. Granted, it'll take about a week or two of downloading, because it's like... This is designed for having six hard drives, 3 at least being 6 terabyte, and 3 at least being 8 terabyte. So effectively, you'll want 6 8 terabyte drives to get the full thing. Sorry about Joust, man. Yeah, it is what it is. I just got to replace the hardware. That's the important thing, and getting the repairs done and everything. I do have a request in with the city. Apparently, they have a plan, I learned, in a good chunk of the city with older houses. They're doing free sump pump installs. There's a few week backlog on it, but I at least have that request in, so hopefully that'll get taken care of and I won't have to pay for it. Otherwise, I have to pay for it, and that's going to cost me a few thousand. What happened, if you don't mind? We had ungodly amounts of rain. I think we had like something like, what they say, 4 to 6 inches in the period of like 5 to 6 hours. There was so much rain, the soil couldn't hold on to the water anymore, that the water literally came in from the sides of the house. So it like wasn't even getting soaked up by the soil anymore. So that happened. It went into my basement. And then I had like close to a foot of water in there, and I lost a bunch of shit. So there isn't like this could have been completely prevented. A sump pump could have possibly helped prevent the damage, but not the flooding, if that makes sense. Like, potentially, depending on the strength of the sump pump, it would have at most kept the water level very low until it fully cleared. Yeah, and what sucked even more was when I woke up, I didn't even know it was happening. The water alarm that was supposed to go off and wake me up didn't go off. It did go off, but it didn't wake me up like it was supposed to. Like, it's supposed to be a continuous alarm. It apparently only went off for like 10 minutes. Which you might be like, why wouldn't that, wake you up? And I'm like, the high-pitched sound would have eventually, woken you the hell up, even in a deep sleep. So I have loud-ass water alarms now that do 110 decibels each. The slightest amount of water touches this, and I found this out when I was mopping. It screams like a bat out of hell. So I'm doing that at least until I get the alarm system completely upgraded or replaced. I'm evaluating what I want to do with that, but sump pump comes first before that kind of thing. And then when the water happened, I didn't have a working utility pump, which is what you need to pump out water. So I went to, Lowe's and Home Depot, and they were out. Until like an hour later, I got hit up by a friend that worked at a Lowe's and was like, hey, we just got a shipment in. I set one aside for you. Came in, dropped $160 on a 1/3 of a horsepower utility pump because they didn't have the 1/6 horsepower, which is literally all I needed. It was actually so much pressure, I had to sit there, hold the hose, because it was kind of pushing out. But anyway, yeah, so did that. It took about an hour and a half, 2 hours to drain the whole basement with the hose run out the front door. Speaking of rain, it was supposed to rain, and I just put some seeds in my planter pot yesterday, so I got a little scared it was too much water for it. Wait, if your house flooded recently, are you in Indy? No. I'm in the Midwest, I'm not in Indiana. I'm not as effed as they were. Like, my God. I've seen the wreck of what Indiana looks like because, where I work, they're a national company, so they have offices all over, and they were giving us the sit rep on Indiana. So, I think that, what is it, like the average storm, they estimate that there's only supposed to be like a few dozen trees, and this time there was like a few thousand trees removed and taken down. It was bad around here, not near the river. Neither am I. The area of town that I'm in normally never floods. Like the last floods I had a few years ago were because the city sewer system backed up. Not because there was flooding in my area. And I fixed that a few years ago by getting a backflow valve in my sewer system. So this time, at least, when it flooded, because the sewer system did flood here, I literally didn't have shit back up into my house. Like the times that happened 5 or 6 years ago. So this time it was all clear water, just filled with the shit that was in the basement floor. Which still isn't all that clean, but, you know, looking through, you're just like, oh, I can see my feet. And it was mostly like lint from dryers and stuff like that. Tornado Alley. I don't know if I'm really in Tornado Alley, but like close to it. Guys, it's like 100 right now in California. I wish we have rain. 100? What's that temperature? Hold on. I've been doing Celsius so long. 100 F to Celsius. It's 37. Almost 38. I mean, it's a little warm out there. But I had worse when I was in Vegas. It got up to 48 out there, which is what, like 130? Yeah, that was brutal. And the only reason I was able to survive that was I lived in the Middle East before, so I knew about electrolytes and covering up and how to dress lightly in the desert and everything. Sorry, kid had a meltdown. Well, we're talking about how we can melt people in hot temperatures. Sort of. You're talking about how California was like super hot. Yeah, Las Vegas was freaking damn hot. Alright. Let's see. What do we have from the streams section to review? I'm just going to go randomly through the review on stream section. There we go. Alright, what's this? Tesla said fatal autopilot crash data didn't exist. A $15,000 bug bounty hacker proved it did, costing Tesla $243 million. Oh, shit, man! $250 million! All because you didn't want to admit that you had some fatal crash data, and now it costs you a lot more, probably. I will never be able to fully trust the fully autonomous systems Elon Musk is putting out, because there's just been so much controversy around this shit. $243 million. Okay, this was back in 2024. Okay, hold on. Filed a lawsuit against it. Night bill. Okay, that. By August 2025, a jury decided Tesla was partially at fault, and in February 26, a judge denied Tesla's appeal of the case. Tesla was required. It also changed the name of its autopilot and full self-driving features to make it clear that humans shouldn't actually let their cars drive without supervision. You know what's funny is I remember reading about the internal employees at Tesla complaining about just this with branding, and apparently it was like something along the lines of, this is the allegations, Elon Musk was caring more about the brand name and, you know, how well it'll market than the reality of what he's marketing. Yeah. But a Russian hacker turned a software vulnerability gig with Tesla into a $243 million payout for the grieving family. So as part of the lawsuit, the jury was asked to figure out what percent of Anguillo and Benavides, whatever, I know I'm going to say their name wrong, fatal crash was Tesla's fault and what percent of it was Tesla's driver. Theoretically, Tesla autopilot records crash data, God, I am having a stroke reading for some reason. Theoretically, Tesla autopilot records crash data that would make determining fault easy. Wow, why can I not read tonight? Fault easier. Autopilot is designed to send video of the 5 seconds leading up to any crash directly to Tesla headquarters if the car gets into a wreck. Tesla said they didn't have it. Okay. Which is weird because this is like one of the main advertisements around Tesla is that like Sentry feature, whatever it is, that can record everything going on. The data transmitted to Tesla does not include either the crash video or snapshot data. In a letter to the plaintiff's attorney, Tesla cannot produce an augmented clip. That's where hacker, known by his X handle as Green the Only, comes into play. The hacker had been working for Tesla through its bug bounty program, yada yada yada. He was able to recover the crash data and prove that Tesla did actually have access to it, which he alleges Tesla knew, the Washington Post reported. For any reasonable person, it was obvious the data was there. We all knew the data was there. He also said Tesla had beefed up vehicle crash data security in the time since. If an accident happened today like this, I won't be able to extract the data. So not only do they have the data, they've since hardened it so you can't prove that they have the data. And here's the thing with all these self-driving Teslas. Every Tesla fanboy has the largest amount of copium because I have been in more near-death experiences inside a Tesla running autopilot than I have in any other car in my entire life. And I have been in a Tesla fewer times than I have most other car makes, okay? That should tell you something. And every time, I get in a near-death incident. Oh, it's a software bug. Oh, they fixed it in a recent software update. Yeah, dude, you've been telling me that for the entire year and a half that this spanned my death incidents. And after a year and a half of multiple incidents, that's not a bug. Like, that's just fixed in software. That's a systemic problem. Anyway, moving on. What's the next thing? What's this? Monero transactions over LX. For fuck's sake, Vampire, where the fuck do you find this shit? I'm gonna start sending my Monero, apparently, over Reticulum. Why would you even want to do this? Oh, so you can even do it over I2P. Like, I'm trying to find the use case where I'm going to need to use Monero over Reticulum. Have you heard of EXIF tool? Dude, that's an old frickin' tool. All that is basically just pulling data from a photo. So all that is basically, it's pulling the data, and I think can help you manipulate the data and all that. Now, EXIF tool on Mac, I thought had a vulnerability. That was an issue. They may have fixed that since, but that was a few months ago. But for fuck's sake, really? 2 to 4 seconds? I can't think of when I'm gonna want to send Monero over Reticulum. I really can't. And it's also interesting, everyone also is using Claude. Alright, what the fuck is this? RNS over email? Point-to-point email transport bridge for Reticulum mesh networking runs as a pipe interface subprocess of RNSD, forwarding RNS packets over IMAP SMTP email to exactly one Wait, what? No! What the fuck? Is this really real? So it's going through Reticulum, the RNS over email, and it's using email protocol? What? You know, the question that I have to ask myself when someone makes a project like this is not if I would have to be high to think of this, but would my body be able to withstand the amount of intoxication I would have to undertake to even think this is a good idea worth pursuing? Have you seen Take-Two Interactive stock? No, I don't really care about most of the gaming studios. Most of the gaming studios can just go fuck themselves at this point because they're just trying to F everything up for gamers. Oh yeah, Comcast just turned millions of Xfinity routers into motion sensors. So basically, for those of you that are unaware, you can take radio signals. This is not specific to Wi-Fi. It's any radio signal. And you can actually use it to basically see how it reflects so that you can, you know, make an image. It's how radar more or less works with some additional nuance around how radar functions as to compared this stuff, but they basically built that into their Xfinity routers, and now they've turned it into a motion sensor as a result. So if you need another reason why you shouldn't be using your ISP's router, this is it. Because they can add features into routers that you don't necessarily agree with, and this is one of them that can actually tell if you're in the house. Now, there is a use case for this, for motion sensors, because most alarm systems do have motion sensors. I have some in my house. I'm not giving you too many details about them, but, I mean, I see where they're coming about it, but it's just, yeah. An opt-in feature. So it's an opt-in feature, but still a worrisome feature. Can't radio signal be using to see where someone is? Well, yeah. It's radio. You can do a lot with radio. That's why I study amateur radio. What tool should I use instead of EXIF tool? I mean, you can still use it. Just be aware of the thing. Not tech savvy, but what if it's in bridge mode? Bridge mode for what? I recommend best Linux for new users. I mean, you've got Pop OS, you've got Zorin, you've got Mint, you've got Ubuntu, you've got Raspberry Pi OS if you're just running a straight Raspberry Pi. There's a few others, but those are the good ones. Just don't let any of those people that don't touch grass or, you know, go shower to convince you to install Arch or Gentoo. ISP and router bridge mode. Oh, the router in bridge mode. I mean, if it's in bridge mode, it's just a modem at that point, but you would still want to disable the Wi-Fi radio inside the router there. Some ISPs require you to use their router even if you're providing your own. But even in those cases, I disable the Wi-Fi radio. You can log into your Wi-Fi router in almost all cases and change the Wi-Fi name and all that and disable it. CyberLeak, who leaked GTA 6, was only doing it to promote his shit meme coin. I don't know about that, but y'all are really shocked that somebody may have been doing something only for selfish reasons instead of for altruistic reasons, and maybe just use that as a marketing stunt so that they could actually, yeah, of course. Like, what, did you guys really think, like, oh yeah, they're only doing it for... No, dude, they're gonna scrape money off the top. Like, dude, anyone that pops GTA is gonna be able to be, like, bragging rights. Try to rack a bill off that shit. Alright, what's this? Addy. Blue Sky's AI assistant Addy expands into an open social research tool. Interesting. The AI assistant feed that lets you build custom social feeds without programming is evolving into an open-ended research tool. The company this week said it's added a new feature to the AI assistant called Quests that lets users ask it for information and news spreading across the broader Blue Sky social network, nicknamed Atmosphere. Ooh. I have not heard of this. I'm curious. Hold on. I'm trying to get on the wait list before I forget. I swear the government moved quickly when the Rockstar reports any cybersecurity breach. Well, yeah. And here's the thing. This is why I've been saying for years, this is why I don't trust gaming companies to have kernel-level anti-cheat, because that's essentially a security software. And game companies, their first priority is not necessarily security. So, guess what happens? They get popped, and then people are shocked, and then they're like, why are you so worried about, kernel-level anti-cheat? You're just a cheater. And I'm just like, dude, it's because I don't trust the company behind it to be secure. It's not that hard to figure out, buddy. Alright. I still want Blue Sky to frickin' fix their, whatchamacallit, OAuth and everything so that I can frickin' stop doing email verification. Alright. At least I'm on the wait list for this shit, because it looks interesting. Alright, the company said this week, yeah. Blue Sky's user growth has slowed over the past 8 months. The social network saw its user base double to 40 million last October within just a year, but it now reports around 45.6 million registered accounts, yada yada yada. Develop tools and services that could allow it to grow its user base and potentially monetize it. Now, that'll be interesting if we can figure out ways to monetize that side of it without being shitified in the ways that Twitter did. Quest adds new capabilities to Addy, allowing users to ask it open-ended questions to research what's happening on this part of the open social web. Ooh. That could actually be very useful in cybersecurity, because before we used to have a thing called InfoSec Twitter, And InfoSec Twitter basically died when Elon killed off the free API things, because a lot of people were building amazing things using those free APIs, including myself. That's actually the reason why I started coding more. Was originally I was building a Twitch integration to post when I was live on Mastodon and Twitter. You know, that was when Mastodon was really starting to get more mainstream popularity. So I'm like, okay, there's nothing that exists. Let me make a tool to do that. And I'm like, I'll learn, Python and stuff doing this way, and I'll learn APIs. Well, Elon killed the APIs, the free API tier, and, it was a fight for, a month and a half. At a certain point, I'm like, you know what, F this. I'm tired of fighting. So I just developed solely on Mastodon. And then, the point being, InfoSec Twitter lost a lot of its most amazing cybersecurity content creators and influencers because they did not like what was going down with the API and Elon Musk or whatever. Pick your poison. There are so many different reasons you could pick. The honest truth is Twitter was really shitty even before Elon Musk came. For a lot of people, Elon Musk was the final straw because it didn't get any better. And anyone that's like, Twitter's so much better, you're just trying to buy into the sunken cost fallacy because you're probably, trying to justify your Twitter blue check mark that you pay for every single month or year. Anyway, so a lot of the InfoSec Twitter people moved to Mastodon and Blue Sky and moved a lot of their integrations and stuff there, like the Elon Jet. Remember that whole tracker? That's still alive on Blue Sky and Mastodon. In fact, I'm mutuals with the guy that runs Elon Jet. Jack, what's his face? I was chatting with him during DEF CON because he was in Vegas for something else, and I convinced him, dude, next year you gotta come to DEF CON regardless. He was supposed to do something apparently with the Aerospace Village, and then it didn't end up happening, so he didn't end up going. He ended up doing something else. And I'm like, dude, regardless, next year, come out. I'll buy a drink. Because we've been chatting over Mastodon and Blue Sky for a while because we're both aviation nuts that do plane spotting. Do you think cybersecurity is way better for this upcoming years with all the vibe coding companies? Yeah, there's more jobs in cybersecurity opening up because of AI that are directly AI related because of all the crap that AI is, putting out there. Oh yeah, this apparently happened while I was dealing with the flood. Bill Gates' daughter Phoebe accused of cookie stuffing scheme that has max penalty of 20 years in prison. So, hate to say it this way, but the apple doesn't fall far from the tree in this case. Y'all will say whatever you want. I mean, recent years, Bill Gates, philanthropy, good, okay, great and all that. But I will never forget the years that he was a freaking asshole running Microsoft. There was a reason why he left Microsoft. It was because the Department of Justice was up his ass. If you do not understand what I'm talking about, go look up the Department of Justice versus Microsoft monopoly lawsuits in the late 90s, early 2000s. I never trust any so-called hacker that claims to be for the people while trying to dump their coins. I mean, totally. I mean, I will never go that way, but if you buy Chief coin... I'm kidding. Rockstar should have learned from the first data breach that happened. Yeah. Okay, anyway. So basically, if I remember what the idea of cookie stuffing is basically you're falsifying the information of the data that is going across. Yep. Cookie stuffing. They did the same exact honey. So that's what the honey coupon thing that was bought by PayPal. That whole scam that Linus Sebastian, Linus Tech Tips also got in hot water as a side effect of the whole controversy because he didn't publicize the whole thing. There's like the whole thing. Anyway, they found out from the guy that he was basically modifying the coupon codes. Well, apparently Phoebe Gates was doing the same exact thing. Like, girl, your father's wealthy enough that you don't need to do shit like this. And now you're gonna possibly ruin your entire life. Because once you get accused, you get, like, caught doing something like this, your credibility as a whole just gets shot. And she doesn't have the luxury of anonymity. Like, she's known because of her father. So her name's gonna be forever tarnished, because if this was anybody else, there probably wouldn't be a headline, I'll be honest with you. There probably would have been, like, in the Wall Street Journal of something, but that wouldn't be as big as this. So yeah, cookie stuffing is basically, what cookie stuffing is, and I'm probably going to get a little bit of this oversimplified or maybe even wrong, because we're just trying to get the idea across. But basically, when you go and use an affiliate code, so if you go to my links in bio, and there's a lot of products there, they have referral links attached to them to basically track, often using cookies, which, creator, website, whatever, it's coming from. So if you buy a product through my referral link, I get a cut of that. So whether it's the Amazon links or whatever that I put out there, there's usually a referral code attached to it, so I get a cut of the, money. That's how I make money off of Proton. Blinkdisk does the same thing. Pretty much every product that I've, told you I have a paid partnership with, a lot of them are doing it through this referral method that relies on this. So imagine you have a software that you have installed on your computer. It detects when you're actually using these cookies, this information, to tell, hey, this person is coming in with Chief Geek 3D's referral code. Buy this item and make sure Chief Geek 3D gets the credit. It basically detects Chief Geek 3D's code and replaces it with their own, so I don't get the credit. The cookie stuffer does. So you can go and buy the thing from my link, thinking I'm going to get a cut of the profit, and you're doing it to support me, but because you have a cookie stuffer extension like Honey or whatever Phoebe Gates product is, Faya, apparently that's what it's called, they then get the money instead. That's theft. There's no ifs, ands, or buts around it. There is no other way to define cookie stuffing, as it is blatant, outright theft. Now, in some cases, it may not even see you have the affiliate code at all, and that's where they'll have partners like Honey, and it'll automatically apply it. That's why Honey was like, hey, we'll automatically find coupon codes to save you money. But a lot of times how that was working was it was replacing the coupon codes in the background, and that's how they were making a bunch of their money too. So that's cookie stuffing. It is essentially theft, and it is not you don't accidentally cookie stuff. It is, you had to intentionally go about doing this. So Phoebe Gates is what? She's 23 years old. Smart enough to know that this shouldn't have been a thing. So the question that I have is, who else knew this was happening and was okay with it? Because there's gotta be more than one person tending to the code. And if not, that's another issue in and of itself. But she comes from a wealthy enough family that I would say she probably had good enough coders and stuff around her that this had to have been known to more than just her. Oh yeah, and we eventually do have to color change my Flipper 0. I got a case for it. But yeah, I think we'll go with the blue case here. My Flipper Zero was just a little bit too boring and white. Too vanilla. It's nice. They give you the PCB here to reuse. Have you ever sat next to someone during your school life and they smelled horrible? Yeah. It gets even worse when you go to cybersecurity conferences, because those Arch users, man. I swear, they install Arch and they forget what hygiene is. You're attending your first CyberCon soon. Any advice? Love your content. Well, it depends on which CyberCon conference you're talking about. So, like, DEF CON is the Big Mac Daddy. That actually requires, like, some proper full-on prep work for that. B-sides are generally more chill. Just have a good laptop, good vibes, don't be a dick. Make sure you shower every day. That is a must. At least have 2 meals a day. But most cybersecurity conferences are pretty chill and laid back. Now, the difference is, like, is it a community conference or is it a vendor conference? Because if it's a vendor conference like Octane or CrowdStrike or was it CrowdStrike Falcon or stuff like that, I think Falcon's actually happening right now. They're generally going to corral you into a whole bunch of sales pitches and, you know, stuff like that. But if you're going to, like, a community conference, like DEF CON or B-Sides or GERCON, like I'll be at in a few weeks, or Hackers Teaching Hackers or stuff like that, a lot of those are mostly just chill. Come as you are. Bring a laptop that you can tinker with. Okay, a vendor conference. Are you willing to tell me which vendor conference it is? Because a vendor conference, I'm going to be honest with you, you're going to get sold a lot of bullshit, and the vendor's going to try to make everything be a solution as to you need to buy this product. You might get some workshops about how to use a product better, but in the most part, vendor conferences, I generally, personally try to avoid vendor conferences, just because it's Scary Con. Let me see what Scary Con is. South Africa Halloween Summit. Oh, this looks fun. Alright, let's see. Let's see what this guy is about. Alright, so interesting website layout. Oh. Really? You doing the Halloween music, spooky, all that? Okay, I'm gonna have to deduct points off your website because you should not have auto-playing music past, you know, your emo years. Millennials, you know what I'm talking about. Alright, so let's see. So they have a kid zone. What is this, Hacker Hub? Okay, so they have like a little hacker area. So they kind of make it, you know, kid-friendly, which is nice. A lot of the area, you know, okay, so I wouldn't say this is a vendor conference. This is more a sponsored conference, but it looks like it's a bit more like leaning on that, like, okay, let's see. So it looks like you've got, it's relatively small, single track. Yeah, you got a single track of talks, an auditorium. Okay, so I'm taking it's probably a little bit smaller. I think it's still going to be fine. It'll probably be, the best part you'll get out of most of these conferences is honestly the networking and the meeting of people that you'll have. So lean on that. But yeah, this looks more like it's a conference that, you're going to probably get some talks. They don't really have details on, like, what the talks are. But like some of these you can tell are probably like vendor slots here. Like you see like just the way that they're stacked. So you're just gonna be ushered in. This is what, this is just one day. Okay, yeah, it's a small conference. You'll be fine. Focus more on the networking aspects. Network, meet people, chat. I mean, the talks will probably be great and all, but you're probably going to end up chatting more with people while you're out in the lobby or whatever getting coffee. Like, honestly, don't skimp on the networking opportunities out there. They're probably going to have, like, some kind of thing, like, after hours, maybe, because, like, oftentimes they'll have, like, you know, an after party or, you know, a mixer or something like that. Yeah, I wouldn't, if it's your first con, this looks like a nice little start of a first con. It's pretty small, it looks like. Have fun. I'm currently getting into Homelabbing. How do you recommend learning Linux commands without AI 24/7? You install Linux and you live in it. That's the easiest way to learn Linux commands. And I wouldn't even tell you to use AI because you're not going to learn them with AI. You have to immerse yourself. It's just like learning another language. And if you've never done that before, je parle un petit peu en français, un bisschen in Deutsch, you have to immerse yourself in the country and the culture and the language to better learn it. If you go to a classroom and you learn Spanish, it's not the same thing as when you're speaking Spanish with people who speak Spanish. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, you can say, ¿Dónde está la biblioteca? And, you know, I know that's where asking for the library is, but you don't understand the flow of how things go until you actually repetitively use it and it's get baked into your mind. The same thing with Linux commands. Same thing with Mac commands. Same thing with Windows commands. I'm studying ML and cybersecurity. Do you feel it'll have a role there? Yeah. We use machine learning quite a bit in cybersecurity so that we can look through patterns and things like that. In fact, the Typo Sniper project that I've been recently picking back up to work on, that I started a little over a year ago, I guess it was, I'm adding machine learning into it to further improve my URL's typo squat detections. So yeah, you totally have capabilities for that. Just installed Gen 2, guys. See you in a few weeks then. What's your opinions on Brian Krebs? I mean, I don't personally have anything against him personally, but I do know of the stories where he got thrown out of Sky Talks and was an arrogant prick, apparently. Because, okay, so if you don't know what Sky Talks are, Sky Talks, you know, Sky Talks, they are talks that you go into that no electronics are allowed. If they see you with an electronic on in the middle of the talk, they used to actually threaten to, like, take your electronic. And what I was told in one of my first Sky Talks was, you can keep the footage that you record if we catch you with the device, if it survives the 30-story fall off the balcony. No joke, that was the policy. Anyway, apparently Brian Krebs brought his laptop to Sky Talks. I mean, that's fine and dandy. People bring their laptops, but they're in their bags and off. He apparently brought it out and turned it on to, like, start typing on it, and he apparently gave lip to one of the Sky Talks volunteers, and they told him, like, you need to turn your laptop off and put it away, and apparently he said something like, do you know who I am? I'm Brian Krebs, or something like that, and he's like, okay, Brian Krebs, now turn your laptop off before I throw it off the balcony. You know, like, yeah. What kind of jug is that? It's a half gallon. What's the vulnerability of EDR, XDR, and MDR? The vulnerability is more so what it can't cover if there is a DDR evasion. The big thing is you need to the big issue is a lot of people aren't capturing all the data that they should be and putting that into a SIM. You need to feed as much data as possible to do correlations. Otherwise, it's pretty easy to do an EDR evasion. What any resources do you recommend for fighting the commands? Man pages! No, seriously, for a lot of the commands, it's really just trial and error, and put yourself in positions where you're going to have to use them. You can technically live in Linux without ever having to use the terminal. That is the truth. I don't know why the meme is like, though, that you need to, use a terminal and run 50 lines of commands so that you can install a browser, when that hasn't been the case for many, many years, like 2 decades. But you need to force yourself to use terminal to get used to it, and terminal you're going to learn is a lot easier most of the time. He seems like an egotistical guy from what I've heard with friends. Yeah, I mean, don't get me wrong, he puts out some great articles, but he has kind of a bad rep in the cybersecurity community among practitioners for his ego. That is at least what has been reiterated to me by like several dozen people I've known, and several that have actually met him. What do you suggest for someone just starting bug bounties? Don't. The honest truth is, if you're just starting bug bounties, do it only as a side hustle. I know what a lot of people want to do is, when they're trying to go down the penetration testing, red teaming, path, they're like, well, I can do all this stuff and I can do it in my own way. I see it like a bunch of the people get sold on basically you can do bug bounty and make a whole career out of it. Most of the people I know that make money out of bug bounties make it as a side hustle. That's not their primary income, because bug bounties are not a guaranteed stream of income. One, you have to find the vulnerability. It has to be worthwhile to get paid out. The company has to be willing to pay out for it. Then you have to get it documented. Then you have to chase them down for the money. So it's not like, oh, I found the bounty, I'm going to get paid tomorrow. You may not get paid for a full year or more sometimes. And sometimes, as what happened with the one dude that dropped a bunch of the 0 days for, I think it was Microsoft Windows recently, they decide to bone you completely, and then all your work is for naught. So, you can do it, but also you're running up against everyone else right now that's running automated AI systems to do a lot of that work. If you're doing it to learn it, fine. But if you're doing it to think that you're going to be able to make a guaranteed, verified income stream out of it, get a reality check, because you're competing against thousands of people that are coming into the field thinking the same exact thing. I'm not trying to sound like an asshole. This is just a reality check a lot of people need to have, because unfortunately, there's a lot of bullshit influencers in this space that tell people a bunch of bullshit about how they can get in and do jobs a certain way, and it tends to not be that way. Bug bounties got taken over by AI lately, pretty much. And here's the thing. If you don't have a cybersecurity verified AI account, you're fucked. You're fucked in bug bounty. I'm being honest with you. I have a cybersecurity verified account. I can use Fable to, Claude Fable, to go pen test against different stuff of mine. I'm able to do that. You as a new person coming in aren't. And to get authorized... What the hell happened? Oh. And to get authorized for the cybersecurity verified account, it's not just like you can just... To verify, you have to verify, one, that you're a real person, and two, you have to verify that you're actually a cybersecurity professional. So most of my friends honestly had to get verified with their company email and endorsing them through the company. So it's not difficult, but there's not too many people that I know that got verified as their own individual account. I got verified as my own individual account. So my verification technically is owned directly by me, but by extension, to the LLC that I run all my content creation through. So, but I had to it took me 2 days to wait and get verified. I had to prove I was a person, do the whole scan your face kind of thing. And then I had to submit my social medias and my project portfolio, so my GitHubs. I just dropped a whole bunch of GitHub stuff that I had related. And the use case that I kept running into, or the reasoning for why I needed this elevated access, and it was as simple as I was doing blue team research for radio fox hunting, and Claude on the standard guardrails was blocking me, even though a lot of the stuff I was doing was passive scanning, because it could be used maliciously to, do some nefarious things. Now I don't have those blocks. AI can manipulate EDR. EDR is often running an AI. EDR is running machine learning and has been one of the longest running components running machine learning for years. So before this whole AI hype. But AI is just a tool. It's not a magic thing. It's a buzzword for what originally was really machine learning. Here I am getting flagged for Nginx configs. Yeah, well, Pat, get verified under your company. Seriously, dude, do you have an eligible use case? You do have to give some, PII up, but it's minimal. Saw your post for your house got flooded on Insta. Sorry about that, bro. That sucks. Yeah, it is what it is. I basically don't have spare hardware to do a lot of my testing, tinkering, building, and stuff, and I lost quite a bunch of my laptops and DEF CON badges and various equipment. So I'm hoping with my friends sending in some care packages over the next few weeks, I'll be back up to snuff within the next few weeks, but I'm probably going to have to buy one new laptop because the Panasonic Toughbook that was the heart of my radio lab looks like it pretty much got fucked. Because it had been underwater for a couple of hours, and there was the battery still plugged in, even though it was off. The battery's definitely effed, so that's at least $120 right there. Well, technically close to 250 because I want to get 2 of them. Technically close to 500 because I want to get 4 of them actually in the grand scheme to hot swap them out, but yeah. Started learning basic networking. Should I stay with my current OS or switch to a dedicated one? You should be fine with networking on your any operating system because Windows, Mac, Linux, they all do a lot of what you're going to want for basic networking, and a lot of the networking config you're going to be doing is through SSH. In very rare instances, Telnet. You shouldn't be using Telnet unless it's an archaic system. Or you're going to be doing it through the web GUI for a lot of your networking config. Or terminal, if it's on the local device. All this OPSEC 100%, you're hiding something. I wouldn't say that. Here's the thing. Everyone has something to hide. And if you think you don't, put all of your private messages that have just happened within the past 24 hours or even the past 3 hours on Instagram for everyone to see. Every message. No filter. All the ones, those secret group chats you got with the boys. Those 2. That one. Okay? Now, beyond that, you have tax documentation. You have identity documentation that could, lead to identity theft, where people literally have had their titles to their homes stolen. They've had credit cards or stuff, opened up, used in their name, cars opened up, messed up college funds, things like that. There's a lot of things you can do that if you don't protect yourself, you get boned. Everyone has something to hide. And if you think you don't, you're fucking lying to yourself, or you're naive and ignorant. So that's really the honest answer. Everyone has something to hide. Everyone has a right to privacy and a right to security. And the fallacious idea that if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear, is merely just tyrannical thinking, because that's from the type of people that uses an excuse to get into your house or whatever you're doing to find reasons to then hang you. Because here's the reality. If you ever look at the laws on the books, in many cases, you can't go from your house to the store without breaking a law. Some laws just aren't taken as seriously anymore, but that's the honest truth. And if given a reason, police will find a reason. So that's the honest truth of, when people are like, well, you're always just trying to hide something. Yeah, everyone does. Looking for a new laptop. Should I get a decent €1,200 laptop or an old workstation laptop? That's a personal call. It depends on what your priority is. So, like in my case, the Panasonic Toughbook that I'm looking at, I'm probably getting secondhand, because a brand new Panasonic Toughbook that I want is going to set me back $6,000. But a used one, with all 4 batteries and everything, I can get a Toughbook FC55 Mark II, at least. Because the Mark 1's a little bit too old. It's what I have, but Mark 2 is just a little bit newer. That'll set me back probably at most like $1,300, $1,400. $6,000 for a laptop? Dude, I've seen laptops that cost 20 grand. Some of those AI laptops go seriously for a lot of money. And it's not even a MacBook.
Ihatarogs and Zulus is now chilling in the lab.
Thank you for the follow. So, but basically it comes down to, are you trying to buy a laptop so you don't have to, are you trying to buy a laptop to have peace of mind? Or are you buying a laptop to get the most bang for the buck? Because those are the two different things that you're looking at when you buy new versus used, okay? Now, if you're buying, used or refurbished, you might get better bang for the buck. But if you buy new, you can get peace of mind because you can get a warranty with it. Now, you're in Europe, so if I remember, y'all got 3-year warranties, I think, just out the gate. At least when I was looking at my laptop that I got from Tuxedo Computers, which is from Germany. Because I think they do a 3-year standard. And I think when I remember looking into it, it was like some legal thing or that. I could be mistaken, but I have a 3 or 4-year warranty on it. The peace of mind is if something happens to that laptop within those few years, financially it's covered. Getting a used laptop, it's usually not covered longer than maybe at most 90 days. In some cases, you might be able to buy an extended warranty for a year or two. Very rarely on used stuff. It's usually 90 days. So that's what it comes down to. I can't make that call for you if you're on a budget. But if you're talking about, I have €1,200 only to spend, that indicates to me that you don't have a budget in case something happens to that laptop afterwards, which makes me lean towards spending the money on a laptop with a decent warranty. If you can swing it, one of the premium warranties like Lenovo has, where you can do next business day on site, they can send a technician that comes to you to repair your laptop. Because generally when a lot of people are going to college, the brand I generally recommend to everybody is Lenovo. And I tell them, go get a Lenovo ThinkPad. An E or a T series is more than enough for most people. X if you want to go that way, or P if you want that, workstation quality. And then buy up to the 5-year premium next business day warranty. And I'm like, that laptop will last you through college. But, yeah. Now, if you're wondering why I don't recommend like System 76, those are pure Linux laptops. That's a different niche. I'm talking about the average person. It's like, I want to go to college. Lenovo. What about Mac? Lenovo. It's very hard for anyone to convince me to actually recommend a Mac computer. I need a laptop for getting into a CS degree, and I want the best performance for cheap. ThinkPad. ThinkPad. That's really your answer. Lenovo ThinkPad. That's your answer. If you're trying to go into cybersecurity and you're looking for something decent and cheap, get a Lenovo ThinkPad. If you're wanting something that has a good balance of performance, the AMD CPUs on laptops work great because they also have a better GPU than the Intel counterparts. Now, sometimes you can find them with an AMD CPU and an NVIDIA GPU, which is the weird combo that I like, but not as common. In Spain, they're way inflated. Then here's what you do. A lot of my family does this. Leave the country, buy it somewhere else, then bring it back in. Sometimes it ends up being cheaper just with the trip. There's ways you can do that. I don't know the specifics on where to do that in Europe, but I know when I lived in Europe, I literally flew to Micro Center, bought a bunch of tech, and then flew back to Germany. And I did the same thing, I think, also when I was in Israel, and also when I was in California, because California's tech scene at the time really sucked, because you only had Fry's. And everybody's like, but Fry's is great. No, Fry's sucks compared to Micro Center. Core Ultra Series flip that around mostly. Not really for a lot of the stuff I do and the value. AMD is still going to be a better value. Thinking about it, but can't be asked to travel just for the laptop. Fair enough. I finished that too. Should I continue in cybersecurity? Then I want to be a pen tester. Oh, buddy. You gotta work at IT for a few years before you do that. And here's the thing. Are you talking about you just finished IT in school and then you're wanting to go into cybersecurity in school? Because I didn't go to college for either, and I made it into cybersecurity. You don't need to go to school for cybersecurity to get into cybersecurity. Most of the time, they're going to care more about the experience that you have in IT when breaking into cybersecurity than, oh, you have a degree in the basics of cybersecurity. Because the basics of cybersecurity, you pick up in the field more often than not. And what ends up happening 9 times out of 10 is all those lessons you're going to have from school anyway, you're going to throw out the window and realize real life ain't fucking school. I'm confused in what I'm doing. Networking, OS, and now making Homelab. I feel not learning what to focus. Welcome to the swirl chasing that is IT and cybersecurity. It's a very ADHD thing where we're bouncing around, and you're going to kind of feel like you're fucking around for a while like I was, because you're bouncing around from all these random concepts, and you're not going to see how they tie together until you're working in the field, and then you see how these things click. Like, there was once upon a time people thought I was crazy for learning about cryptocurrencies and, Tor networking and I2P and PGP encryption and all that stuff. And now I actually talk about that stuff almost every week at my job as part of my job. Because now I know things to detect and secure and all that. Just a small example. Background in the military helps. It can, depending on what you're doing. School is pretty useless for cybersecurity in the UK. I hear the UK scene for cybersecurity is kind of fucked. I've honestly heard a lot of the European cybersecurity is kind of fucked too. It's so effed to the point. I've met a lot of European companies that have straight up said they want to hire me, and I was like, dude, don't you have like people in your own backyard that are, qualified for this? And here's the answer that I get a lot of times. Either there's prejudice against the backyard that they have of cybersecurity talent, which is bullshit, because there's this prejudice that unless it's American, Israeli, or Indian, it's shit in cyber. It's bullshit, because you have great cybersecurity people all over the place. All right? But I had European companies like reaching out, like saying, we wanted to hire you, we mostly hire Americans. And I'm like, dude, you're in Portugal. I know you're seen out there. I got quite a few friends in Portugal. They're struggling to find jobs. I can send you their resume, and they're like, well, no, not really, we're interested. I'm like, the dude's qualified for what you're asking for. And I'm betting you'll be able to pay him less than what you'll pay me to do the same job. They don't want to hear it. It's really fucked, and that's why a lot of people, honestly, have been coming to the USA for cybersecurity jobs. Because that's generally one of the best ways to break in. It's fucked. Do you have any guide or roadmap about a start on cyber that you used or recommend? That I used? No. That I can recommend? Roadmap.sh. The only reason I can't recommend what I've used is my stuff doesn't exist anymore. My stuff came from IRC and BBS and AOL Instant Messenger and random hacker forums back in the day. You're still in the fire control. Wait, huh? Oh, the stuff I had to learn about fire control is crazy. I prefer the missile side of the house, but oh yeah. I had done the interview. It went well. I think either time today, Friday UK time, or latest Wednesday. All right, Retrox. I am praying for you that you land the job, bud. Happy hacking, fingers crossed. Good vibes and all that out for you. I'm sure you'll do fine. And if you don't get accepted, dude, you got interviewed. Getting an interview is already the biggest challenge for most people. So it says if you're doing an interview, you're doing something right, regardless what you're you get it or not, or what you're going for. Because there's tons of people out there that are going to say, like, dude, I can't even get a fucking interview. It may not be the full success story at the end, but just, silver lining. But I'm pretty sure you're going to come out fine. It's also fucked how you make in the US 4 times their monthly salary in a week. Jesus. Yes and no. All right, so let me put this into perspective here. I lived in Europe. If I lived in when I lived in Europe on a US salary, you lived like a king. I came back with that same salary often where I'd live, and it'd feel like it was more expensive. So, I can't say that's completely the same across the board, but I can say that in the USA, a lot of those jobs, it's because the cost of living is high, especially in areas like New York or California. Like, there are places in California where making $120,000 a year is just above the poverty line. I'm 16, still in Scottish school. It's an apprenticeship. I work, earn, and get a qualification. Oh, okay. Less than 5 spaces. Hey, that's a good opportunity there. How many applicants? I'm sure you'll do fine. Does that mean if we want to live in Europe, we should apply for those jobs from NA? Yes and no. Here's the issue. A lot of the European countries are now starting to crack down on the nomad things because a lot of the fucking dumbass Americans don't know how to fucking, be polite and not act like a fucking dumbass American outside of America. You know exactly what I'm talking about. There's a reason why when I go around, people think that I'm Canadian. Seriously, do you know how many people on social media think I'm Canadian? It is the funniest fucking shit. Of course, it doesn't help that I mostly use metric system, but I digress. But anyway, the issue that you have with the nomad visas, some of those countries are starting to crack down where they're requiring you to make income in the country that you're actually now residing in. So, like, I know some people that are like, they've created a business just for the country that they're in. They do occasional side jobs, but most of their money is from an American company. There's little games you have to play now. Did you go to DEF CON this year? Yeah. I was at DEF CON a few weeks ago. I want to work in IT, but I can't find a company who will take me even as an intern because I don't speak German. I take it that's because you're in Germany? Yeah. One more. Thanks for lending your resource. What about projects? What do you think? Projects, I mean, mostly just tinker, networking, Homelab, build. A lot of the projects mostly come down to let your curiosity flow and run into random ideas. That's how I learned a lot of my shit. We're in Switzerland? In Switzerland? And you need to know German? Interesting. You must be closer to the German side then. Favorite DEF CON? I love the talk from the guys that wiretapped their neighborhood. I didn't really go to many talks. I was helping out the call center village, and I competed in Crash and Compile, and was kind of just doing my own thing. What I do is I try to only go to the talks that I know I'm interested in that aren't recorded. Like my buddy Deadass, she had a talk on Superbox Part 3, which was a continuation off of Darknet Diaries. That she did an episode on, and she talked a whole bunch of stuff that she couldn't talk about on Darknet Diaries even, about this whole bad box, malicious botnet, all that. It was a talk we hosted at the call center village that you were required to, we checked all of your electronics, your smartwatch, your phone, everything had to be off and in your pocket. You weren't allowed to record. We had to eject 2 people. There were only 50 people allowed in the talk. 2 people got ejected. Yeah, the Superbox episode was... Oh, yeah. That's my buddy. Like, I hit her up on Signal. She's one of the people that, when she found out that my Homelab flooded, is like, hey, I have this workstation. Will this work for you? And I'm like, fuck yeah, it will. Another reason I don't buy Wish, Temu phones, cheap tablets, phones anymore. Yeah. Could I ask, is KVM more secure than VirtualBox? Yeah. Because of the way KVM works, it interfaces directly with the hardware, whereas VirtualBox interfaces with the operating system. But it's mainly that it's a lot faster. Chief, I think I need to install my OS. My network manager killed itself. Yeah, that'll happen if you mess with it. Oracle seems shady with their data collection. Yeah, and they operate TikTok stuff now. But yeah, the Superbox episode that Deadass ran, I might be playing with some stuff related to that. I have to get my malware lab up and running before I can do that kind of stuff, though, again. How was your house flooded? Well, the part of my town flooded. Like, it wasn't just my house flooded, it was the whole block. A bunch of my neighbors. Anyone that didn't have a sump pump or sump pump failed, we got our basement fucked. VirtualBox or VMware? If you're talking about VMware Player versus VirtualBox, they both suck. Use Microsoft Hyper-V or KVM, QEMU, or Proxmox. And VMware has shit the bed since Broadcom bought them too. Be careful with your home network messing with Superbox, but I'm sure you know that. Oh, it's not going to be on my own network. The whole idea that I had was it was going to be on an isolated network, physically isolated, and I was going to set up a honeypot on a flat network with it. And I was going to actually run it with an NVIDIA 5060 Ti that I had laying around here. The honeypot hopefully is still good. The box that I built for that. But anyway, 5060 Ti and that, so that way it can also run AI to do high interactivity. Basically, if anything hits that box, it'll pretend to be what it is. Hey, we're going to hit you like Active Directory. I'm going to pretend to be Active Directory now. Like that. Please open sense. Oh, I use PF Sense, but I would have a physically different box than my normal PF Sense for this. Had a bit of an oopsie. Actually spun out 12 Fable sub-agents on my dad's API for 45 minutes. Well, you better go tell him now, because he gonna be screaming when he gets that credit card bill. And you might be screaming in soprano when he cuts off your nuts. How important is Homelabbing? Incredibly important. Let me put it this way. While a bunch of you... This is going to make me sound kind of like an asshole, but it's true. While a bunch of you have spent $10, $20, or more $1,000 a year to go get a 4-year degree in cybersecurity hoping to get a job, I've spent way less than that on the hardware and tinkering to get me to where I am in my career. I still don't have the 4-year degree. I have a CISSP certification. I'm working on the 4-year degree right now at WGU, but that's kind of been put on hold because of the flood and the power outage and everything. But yeah, it's very important, because even if you go to college and all this stuff, how do you stay on top of all this knowledge? How do you stay on top of the latest and greatest stuff? Because you can't do everything that you want to do at work, because you're dealing with production environments. And even if you're dealing with sandboxed environments at work, a lot of times you have to deal with budgeting to get approved for you to even sandbox and do proof of concepts on their network. So you have to build things yourself. And that's often what I do. I got hired for my senior cybersecurity engineer job because they saw my GitHub and looked at it. Like, to the point, like, the job that I work now, when I did my interview, they actually said, we normally have a technical test that you're required to take, but we're having you skip that because we saw your GitHub. They normally would have to give that test, apparently, to anyone else. But they're like, dude, we looked through your GitHub. You can answer all these basic questions. You already did in your GitHub. We're cool. First cyber engineering interview next week. Nice! I'm sure you're going to do great. What's my PC specs? It's on TikTok, but there's two here. The main Linux box is a 5950X and a 5070 Ti and 64 gigs of RAM, and I think 6 terabytes total of NVMe space between two NVMe's. And then the mainstream box is Windows 11 Enterprise with a bunch of Elgato shit and capture cards, and a 5700X CPU and an NVIDIA 5050. Will GPU price come down? I mean, it will, but not for a while. I bought my GPU right before it spiked. I paid $700 and something, like $720 for my 5070 Ti, and the last I looked at it, it's now worth more than when I bought it. Running any local LLM? Yeah, I have a local LLM server. If you go to my GitHub, I have a whole project called Franken LLM to help you build your own local AI server using multiple mismatched GPUs even. So I run a 5060 Ti, 16 gigabytes of RAM, on my little AI server. So when I actually do the announcements to when I go live that announce on Discord, Matrix, Blue Sky, and Mastodon, it's an automated Docker I built that's also on my GitHub Stream Daemon. You can look it up. And I wrote into there a routine for it to talk to my local Olama server, and the Olama server will actually craft the posts for each platform when I'm going live. So those Twitch, Kick, and YouTube announcements of me going live on Discord, Matrix, Blue Sky, and Mastodon are all done by a Docker that then talks to my AI server that then crafts the message, and then the Docker puts the message out. So I try to move a lot of that stuff to my local processing, and then I use Claude for a bit more of my stuff over here. So I have like scheduled tasks. So like I was showing earlier, this is a task that I actually have it do for off nights. So I have a scheduled task actually before I run a stream. It's like at 4 or 5 in the afternoon. It'll run up like, hey, what are the top stories in the cybersecurity news and all that today? What's the points to take away? I even have, let me put this up, hold on. I even have this little daily letter over here that I have it kick out for me, called Bans and Breaches. So literally it is telling me about all the breaches going on, what's the most actively exploited CVEs, but then also I have information about radio that I care about. So I know the weather right now for radio right now, what the conditions are looking like. So we have the forecast. So like I know tomorrow is going to be a very crazy storm day in terms of radio. That's probably going to knock out bans, but then you can see, these are all the activations people have had on Parks in the Air. You can see what the vulnerabilities are that are going on in the stack inside of my Homelab. So it's like, do I have to chase some things down? Okay. So, or little news, things like that. So, Claude's been good for that kind of stuff, where my local AI is maybe not as amazing. I mean, I even have, hold on, where is it? Yeah, I have like, y'all wonder like how I actually stay on top of a bunch of hardware and stuff like that? I have a task for that. So it'll be like what I'm looking for. It knows a list of what I'm looking for to get better pricing on different things. New hardware coming out, why I probably would want it, where it's at in the process, or, my preferred vendors over here that I want, getting looked at to see if they ever release anything new. You said your GitHub. Yeah, my GitHub's in my links in bio. It's the same username. I generally have the same username across all of different things. I even do... I set up all these tasks today because a lot of these tasks were... I originally had them on ChatGPT, but ChatGPT really sucks at a lot of shit. So I started playing with Claude for it. So like over here, I had to update it because it didn't know I had a Hack RF Pro that just came in. But then it's like, what hardware are you looking at that may close the gaps on what's in my lab right now for the goals I'm trying to go after? So it's even like, the Tokyo Fair is, a ham fair is coming in a few days. Here are some deals like the ICOM X26. But then it's like, the Yaesu FTX 1F, which was, I'm specifically looking for. I was like, hey, we saw Gigaparts had a little deal on it. So, that's been useful. You're cheating on your LLMs? No, I'm not cheating on them. Just like in real life, I've been polyamorous with my AIs. So, I sometimes have some fun with ChatGPT. I have, my anchor AI that is at home, my Quens and my Gemmas and that, and then sometimes I go out and I get a little bit exotic with the French and go with Claude. Claude's pretty fun. We go to French bakeries all the time. I'm just kidding around right now. I don't know. If you ever look at the prompts that I have in my projects, you'll see that ain't as simple as somebody just saying, oh, I want to make a project to do this. Like, where was it? That's the Infocon scraper. That's kind of an example, but it's not as deep as, was it? That's the Infocon scraper again. That is... I have too many VS Code windows open. Yeah, this one. If you look at just this folder here, that's all just documentation for me to guide it. So there's even like, what's the scope of this project? Yeah, that's the session log. Here's the scope. Here's the questions we had to ask. And the answers it was giving along the way as we were researching. The entire why we're doing it this way, crediting some. Then we have the inventories of the things we're building out. Device naming, Dragon OS, all this. Oh. I am so tired I forgot to share the screen. Sorry. But yeah, if you look at this. So this is the session log of what's gone on for it to remember things between chatting. But then here's a document I have just for the scope. Like, that's a wall of text just for the scope to define different things. With staging. Questions that we've had along the way, like, what license does Ammunition ship under? Does the RF security profile include cellular interception tooling? Because if it does, then I have to make disclaimers, then I have to have affirmative consent on a lot of these tools, because there's legal questions around if I include these. It can't be as simple as I do a -- yes. I have to have you affirmatively consent, which isn't just, oh, give me yes. It's you have to do an extra step to prove it wasn't as simple as I just said yes. You got basically the agreement saying, that this could be illegal in your area, right? I'm not saying no, I'm just saying it could be, so I'm legally satisfying my ass. Is it even worth getting into this at 23 if AI will take over? AI is not going to be able to do everything. AI is just a tool. Because, look, somebody takes AI. They're not going to know a bunch of this shit that I'm telling it to do. I still have to steer it. I still have to architect it. I have to guide it. I spent, on this project alone right here, I've been working on this what? My GitHub will tell me. I've been working on this for... When did this first come on? Okay, it's been a few days at least. So at least 2 or 3 days. I was running the plan for this probably a day and a half, 2 days, before I even had it start doing any code. This was literally just going back and forth, and then eventually got to the point where I needed to start building enough, I had enough memories. I'm like, if my computer gets boned, I need to make sure this is backed up somewhere. So, yeah, that took me about a day and a half too. Even, if we look at Ammunition Hill, which is more simpler and just a website, this was still a half a day of planning. And as you can see, this has gone further into the whole process where I've even gone about starting the branding side of it. So that's the logo for Ammunition Hill. But this is like what it looks like. I have to clean it up because it's still early days and I can see like I'm gonna have to reorganize the tiles. But yeah, thank you for the follow. But yeah, it's totally still worth it to get into IT and cyber. The thing is, a lot of the things people are talking about in terms of capabilities of what AI is going to be able to do, it won't be able to do. A lot of it is overhyped bullshit. I'm not saying like AI entirely is bullshit. It is a useful tool when you know its limitations. For example, the way I have to go back and forth with the AI to get a lot of my stuff done, you're seeing a lot of vibe coders. Like, let me put it this way. I am not fucking kidding you. You will see this shit on Threads and other social media. People will be like, hey, I created with AI this really amazing site. Check it out at localhost, port 3000. Or the one time I literally saw someone put 127.0.0.1 and then couldn't understand how networking works. Because the AI will build the site for you that you want to have, but it'll be like, okay, here's your website. But it won't be like, do you want this on Apache? Do you want this on Nginx? Are we going to do IIS on Windows? How is this going to be networked? The firewall? You know, are we going to have to deal with load balancing on this kind of thing? Oh, are you wanting to do a WordPress? So you building that yourself? Do you want, like, there's all these different things that go into it that a vibe coder's not going to get. And there's a huge difference between vibe coding and coding with an AI assistant. I code with an AI assistant because it's actually faster to make bad code and fix it than it is to write good code from the start to begin with. It is literally the difference between being able to do in minutes and hours what I would take days, weeks, or even months. Like, if we look at the Ammunition Hill, the website thing of it, all right? I'm not a front-end guy. This would have never happened. I could have figured out a lot of this stuff on the back end, and that would have probably taken me, I'd say, for what I've done, several months. But what I've done with this website, I've knocked out in 2 days after roughly a half a day to a full day of planning. So, like, now it's down to, I know what the functionality, the features are, because I have to go in and tell it, like, hey, we can do this. Like, a lot of the features inside of this, people wouldn't have thought to do. But then if you look at, like, Ammunition, this is a prime example of, I would have never been able to do this without AI, because this is a massive undertaking. Do you see how many packages I'm having to audit? And we're not even in, like, a working state. I'm only at 68 of about 230 packages planned that I have to audit. I have to make sure they can install inside the ParrotOS Podman I'm testing with and not have issues. So when I'm running my pull requests here, so Claude's doing this, we have all these CI tests that I told it to make. A vibe coder's not going to know about this shit. And you can see it's testing Debian 13, 13 ARM64. It's testing a Kali rolling release, Linux Mint, and Parrot. Our main build is for Parrot, but the idea here is that Ammunition will work for all of these. Have I messed around with the free will eye? Not too much, because I had the flood. The things I've done with it, though, is I did, so far in the Ammunition project that I just showed you, I did grab the identifiers off of this. So Ammunition is planned to work with the free will eye, so anybody using a free will eye out the box can have some advantages. What I need to do, though, is delve more into app development for this. So the very first thing I was thinking of doing was taking Flipper Zero's hardware and rewriting it, the software, and rewriting it for the free will eye. That should be pretty easy. Have Claude point at it and just do a one-to-one. I want to do the same thing for a lot of other radio stuff. I know this is subjective, but what should I prioritize for a laptop for CS and cybersecurity? Should I prioritize RAM, CPU, or GPU? Lean towards RAM. It's more the RAM. The GPU is not nearly as important as you think it is. Unless you're doing, like, hashing, password cracking, and all that, which I guarantee you're probably not going to do more than just learn about the idea. And even then, you're not going to want to run that on a laptop. You're going to want to build a Hashcat rig for that. Similar to a Bitcoin miner, but you're cracking passwords and hashes. Ideally, what you want minimum for a cybersecurity laptop these days, a Ryzen 5 or Core i5 CPU with 16 gigabytes of memory, bare minimum. Ideally, you want a Ryzen 7 or Ryzen 9, Core i7, Core i9, and 32 gigabytes of memory is the recommended. So, if you have a limited budget, skip the GPU, because honestly, if you get an AMD CPU, they generally have better GPUs, and they come down on the price compared to the Intel equivalents. Very cool. I pre-ordered one. Can't wait to get my hands on it. Me too. I can't wait till I can actually play with this some more. Right now, it's been all hands on deck trying to take care of the flooding, and then trying to catch up on my backlog of other projects. But I'm hoping to get playing with this more and more next month, especially through the winter months. I am planning to take this with me to GurCon, so at least I can do some tinkering on the road there with my laptop. And I am planning to get a newer laptop to replace my Panasonic Toughbook that's boned. I'm probably getting that Toughbook FZ55 Mark II I was talking about. So it'll be a Core, at least i5 11th gen, but I'm trying to get the i7 model. And then I'm probably going to take the 64 gigs of RAM from my current Parrot OS laptop, move that into it, because it's DDR4. And then keep my Pangolin laptop for a backup laptop. And then I'll make the Panasonic Toughbook a radio laptop and a security laptop using Parrot OS. Why? I think that'll be the better laptop for when I go to DEF CON and stuff. Because they have hot swappable batteries. And I can easily get, like, I think they said, like, if I'm doing full load on it, I could get a full day out of that with 2 batteries in there. And then carry around a third as a spare just in case. You heard of Titan 2 or, yeah, no, I haven't. The only caveat is the 1 terabyte storage, but I don't mind when needed, expanding when needed. You don't need that much storage. Most of my laptops have 1 or 2 terabytes, and the one that has more memory is my media laptop. Most of my laptops are fine with half a terabyte or 1 terabyte. Made 50K, you're 17. Nice. Would you consider Lapsus and Shiny Hunters genuinely skilled hackers? Trying to remember those groups. Wasn't Shiny Hunters social engineering now? Hold on, Shiny Hunters tactics. AI-powered voice phishing, SaaS cloud manipulation to steal data sets. And then Lapsus. Yeah, so Lapsus is more social engineering. MFA fatigue, SIM swapping, help desk exploitation, insider recruitment, underground markets. Yeah. I mean, I would say they're more opportunists. How many likes for an RTX Pro 6000 Blackwell? I don't know. You can send it my way, though. I could definitely use that for AI. Software waits for console, basically aimed on for console. I don't play console, so that's probably why I haven't heard of it. I'm gonna need some jamming devices for the upcoming AI robots that take over. If how's WG taking you? Oh, how's WG? I haven't finished it yet, and I've been so busy between DEF CON, power outages, and flood, I haven't been able to do shit beyond pass one class this semester so far, and I started beginning of July this semester. I'm 74% done. So if I put my nose to the grindstone, I probably can knock it out this semester. And honestly, my capstone project for WGU is going to be so fucking easy, because it's literally going to be picking a project. Like, literally picking one of my projects out of GitHub and then just having Claude write it up. So would you say they're technically skilled but mainly rely on opportunistic attacks? That's pretty much how most of them rely. I mean, if you think about it, most cybersecurity attacks really are just going after the lowest hanging fruit. That's why, everybody that makes the argument of like, why are you trying so hard to be private and secure? Do you have something to hide? And it's like, yeah. If I make myself the highest branch on the tree for a hacker to go and pick from, they ain't gonna bother with my tree or my branch because it's so freaking high up. But they're going after all the people with low hanging fruit. Like, think about it. Like, the MGM Grand exploit that happened from, what was it, Alpha V? They went through and got the people's information off of social media, like LinkedIn and all that. Called in, pretended to be the guy, then got his credentials, then escalated their way up that way. Getting all the information they needed off of social media. That's what a lot of people don't realize when they're talking about cybersecurity, is like, so many people have the head up their ass fallacy of, if you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear, and that's why they don't worry about protecting themselves, not realizing your ability to trust too much is why you get fucked by identity theft and so much so often in this country. Because nobody thinks about it until it already happens. Oh, I didn't have to worry about freezing my credit until I got my identity stolen. I have had only there's been a couple of fraud charges. 3, 4, however many. That's like 3 as I say couple. They've all been very benign things in the grand scheme, and I've gotten them wiped off. Like, I remember the funniest one was when I went to my credit union and I'm like, I have a fraudulent charge on the bank account. And they're like, okay, so how do we know that it's a fraudulent charge? And mind you, this is my credit union. I've been in there enough. The credit union guy knows me between the mortgages and stuff I've had to, do over the years, and auto loans, all that. And I literally look at him in the eye and say, it's CatholicSingles.com. And he looks at me, he's like, well, your family definitely wouldn't approve of that, so that's definitely fraud. Like, don't get me wrong. Catholic girls are fun, but I ain't paying for a dating site for them. You want a bunch of them, all you gotta do is go to the gentleman's club. That's where a lot of them end up. And y'all can hate me for that joke, but you know I'm right. Where was I going with that before I went off on that tangent? How realistic would it be to run an RTX 3000? I mean, I'm not sure on that specific one. You'd have to look it up. Seen you in forever, man. You probably don't remember, but we've talked in LSEC Discord. Oh, okay. I kind of don't hang around too much of the Discord server with OwlSec. No offense. Kind of a bunch of skids. Like, don't get me wrong. No offense to Sir Ho. Nice guy. Met him. Hung out with him. He's cool. The server itself, it's so noisy. And I like to be in places where I can learn. See you later, Zach. Wait, VRAM, I think 18 too. I mean, maybe. But 8 gigabytes of VRAM is not a lot for AI stuff. Yeah, demographics have changed a ton since Sir Ho's partner left. Yep, I know. And the honest truth is, I know quite a bit of the drama behind the scenes, but I'm not the type of person to go around and, spewing drama that isn't my business. So I know a bit about that. It's unfortunate for the way things went out, but it is what it is. At least they're still, doing stuff for the community. Because I remember when my community blew up with Tech Talk, they just nuked the Discord server and everything, and that's why I had to rebuild my own Discord from scratch, and also why I, if you noticed, I don't really do much with many other content creators all these years later. I think a lot of people just got the ego go to their head. They got a few thousand followers and had a little bit of clout, and then they get their head up their ass. I think I'd be acting the same way as I did if I had 45 followers, just as I do now with what? I think last I checked over 400,000 for TikTok. A lot of calm kids have infiltrated the court. Yeah, things did get messy at one point. Sir Ho had a group of us try and find... Yeah, that I remember was the point when I saw things happening, and I had to tell people, like, look, I'm not one for drama. I'm past this kind of high school BS. I'm not going to start anything. I'm not going to take sides or anything. But I'm just going to be over here in my little corner, just tinkering on my shit. You get what I'm saying? Calm kids are mostly skids. Your Discord is fun, especially looking at some of the gits people post on there. Oh yeah, we got a few people that like really contribute. It's not like the most active Discord. Like, you won't see activity all throughout the day, but you can see that there are people that are actually working and know their shit. And if you put messages in there, somebody else will respond to it when they get around. Like, even my mods have jumped in saying, like, yo, where's Chief? And they'll be like, it's work hours for him. He'll be on later. Peak OwlSec was when Ryan used to hang out and record and stream Watch Dogs. Yeah, those were the days when even I would hang out and I would stream some of my gaming and stuff there. And I would be in the voice, chat and everything, and just... the vibe shifted. The vibes definitely shifted. And there's other things, I'm not gonna just spew bullshit, because I'm sure there's reasons why things happened and all that. Oh, speaking of, weird drama and stuff like that, Threads once again, before we start closing up the stream, Threads once again proved that they are the weirdest fucking platform. So I merely posted, and mind you, when I post my things on social media, Monty. Oh, Monty was a cool dude. I remember him. So I tend to cross-post on microblogging sites, Mastodon, Blue Sky, and Threads. So when I post those platforms, generally I'm using my cross-poster to post to all of them. That way I don't have to repost it to the several platforms because my audience is everywhere. Anyway, Threads consistently has the weirdest fucking people on there. It is like Twitter and Threads are the worst social media platforms I've used, period, in the past 5 years of all the platforms I've used. Let me explain. So all I merely said was something to the effect of just kind of like a fart in the wind idea. And it's nothing I haven't mentioned before on the stream, which is I've personally not met Network Chuck, but I've just kind of had this vibe for a while, just kind of like, don't really care for him. And look, people have vibes all the time for celebrities that they just don't care for. And you don't have to go explaining away your reasoning or anything. Some people just get a vibe, and it's like, we don't mesh well. Like, I'm sure there's people that get that vibe from me. That's cool. You don't have to like everybody, and not everybody's gonna like you. But you want to pray with me? Yeah, that's what you're getting. Yeah, you're kind of getting at the thing that I'm touching on. But yeah, it was like the thought, like, just like, I didn't care for them. Okay, Blue Sky, Mastodon, people just liked it, moved on. At most made a little comment, like, oh yeah, kind of been like that. Threads was the only one that's like, why are you stirring the pot when you start, like, all, like, doing this whole thing? Like, dude, people say they don't care for celebrities for various reasons every day on the internet. It's not like I personally insulted your mother. Why do you care so much? I think people have really gotten their heads up their ass too much from the internet, that they feel that everyone is entitled to explain their political, religious, moral, whatever positioning on the internet to win some kind of internet points. That's why I don't take half the people seriously that are, these hacktivists or, not activists, the keyboard activists. Activism is a totally different thing. Not gonna go down that route, but the keyboard activists, like, you've heard me chew out the people that merely see a Star of David on my arm because I'm Jewish and then want to make it about Israel. And I'm like, you don't fucking care about my Palestinian cousins, so shut the fuck up. You just want to do this for internet points. And you're not actually going to do anything that matters to help them besides go into a comment section and then just type Free Palestine. That really does nothing when we're over here talking about cybersecurity. You see the problem? Chuck was fun when I was just starting. You're for the people who at least know how to do things. Chuck was fun when he started, but yeah, like somebody said, you want to pray with me kind of thing. Like, look, let me put it this way. I don't give a fuck what your background is, your ethnicity in this community. I've got moderators who are atheists, that are trans, gay, lesbian, whatever. I've got friends of, that are Christian, Baha'i, is Muslim. I even have some Hare Krishna friends. I have some Satanist friends. I mean, I have friends across all walks of life. I don't give a fuck. But I'm not shoving my ideas down your throat. I'm Jewish. I've never shied away from that. But you ask me a question, it's like, cool, okay, we can talk about it. But it's not the main thing about it, and I'm not going to shove that down your throat every single piece of content I do. I just think religion should be this, like, personal thing of, hey, it works for you, cool. You don't believe in God, and that works for you, that's cool, too. I honestly don't believe that you have to believe in God to be a good person, even though I believe in God. How do you deal with a manager from a different department who thinks it's okay to swear at IT when no one is listening to? Well, if they're swearing, you call them on their professionalism. If they're a manager, you just tell them that it's very unprofessional of a manager to go about conducting themselves the way that you do, sir. Like, literally lay on thick. Because look, you're the employee. You're not a manager. There's a different expectation for a technical worker and a manager and executive person. They have to carry their tone and everything a whole different way than we do. When I, as a tech worker, tell you to go fuck off, it's not going to generally result in HR. A couple times it has, but it wasn't really an HR issue, even HR admitted. But that's a different story. He also broke into our server room and took stuff without IT authorization. That's a company policy issue. So if you have policies written about how the process and the procedure is supposed to be in the acquisition of hardware and they're going around that, you now can go to HR and say they're violating this process and procedure. They can't make whatever business case they want if there's a procedure and you blew right past it. Because now that calls into question the accountability of the company of, various compliances they have to deal with, depending on what your industry is. Yeah, what you're describing is an HR violation. Document and go to HR. And this is one of the few times where HR is your friend. Because at the end of the day, HR is not actually your friend. Let's back up here. They always are on the side of the company. But in this case, the manager is going against the company and the policies and putting the company in a liability. So you have to remember that. And when you're going to be in cybersecurity, especially, you have to understand liability. It is a very important thing to understand liability. And my coworkers have learned I'm a very blunt person, and I'm not afraid to tell people, hey, this sounds like we need to stop this question and bring in legal. And they'll be like, well, we don't need to bring in legal. It's going to take forever. And I'm like, yeah, but we need a lawyer for this, so go get legal because I'm not going to risk my job. And the funniest time that happened, I actually told them, I'm like, I'm not risking my job, and I've recorded this whole conversation. No apologies for asking all the questions. I mean, that's also what we have the Discord and the Matrix servers for. So we're about to wrap up the stream as well because it's 10:16. I do have to go to work tomorrow and go to my mailbox as well and pick up some shit, hopefully. What does a typical day in cybersecurity look like for you? Honestly, are you on ET? I'm in Eastern time, yeah. In cybersecurity right now, I'm a senior, so most of my day is researching and then running Claude to do different projects for me as I'm architecting different ideas. Like right now, I'm making a custom app for CrowdStrike using their Foundry to do custom apps inside of CrowdStrike to be able to manage exfiltration data and develop reports. And that's taken me about a week. But yeah, I'm called into a lot of different discussions and things like that. But yeah, your Discord helped me debug a few of my Git projects. People there are smart. That's great to hear. That's exactly why I make Discord. We're a community. We should all grow and learn and, excel as a community together. Because cybersecurity is not an individual thing. It's a community thing. I'm as successful as I am because of the community that I'm a part of and the community that I've been able to make around me. And that's the knowledge I want to share with all of you is like, look, I can share my knowledge, but you ultimately have to find your ways to learn that knowledge too. I can help be your springboard, but I'm not going to be your spoon feeder. I'll join, got a few projects. Yep, definitely. Can't find good communities, unfortunately, mostly skids. Yeah, that's one good thing about my Discord is I try to gentle parent skids, where I hate to say this way, put them on notice to be like, we know you're new, we know you're learning, Just don't act like an ass, and everything will be cool. I have no problem with, kids coming in, provided they're of age and, parents are okay, things like that. The usual things. Like, the Discord's more of a 16-plus server, but I generally gear towards the people that are entering cyber, doing it as a hobby, or are in cyber, or in IT, and all that other stuff. But yeah, like, I don't mind if they come in and they want to learn. It's when they want to come in and act like an ass, then there's an issue. And I can probably count on two hands the number of people I've actually banned from the server. It's been pretty chill. Red Fang scares you. No, Red Fang's pretty chill. They're pretty chill. They've been around for a few years. That's why they're one of the mods, and yeah. But I have to hop off, and make sure, if you haven't already, follow me on all my socials. The links are in bio if you do not see them in chat. We're going to raid out if you're over on Twitch, so stick around for that raid. I love you all. Stay safe. Happy hacking. The next official stream is Sunday, which is our Gaming on Linux night. And then hopefully I should be able to build the lab more, and we'll have more projects and stuff like that. Make sure to check the GitHub as well. I've got a few projects out there. There's more projects coming. Right now, Hamunition and Hamunition Hill are the two big priorities that I have, along with Typo Sniper. And then once those are done, I'm going to start tinkering more with this once I start developing some stuff. But yeah, love you all. Stay safe. Happy hacking. And I'll see you all, if not before then, Sunday.